Hello, students. I'm Professor Leland, and I want to welcome you to UNIV 100. My goal is to record a series of tutorials that I'll post as we go throughout the class. I used to have some videos when we were using Blackboard, and I have not managed to get new ones done. So my hope is to make shorter videos that you can just access the precise information that you need in each one. So we're going to begin this week with a very simple overview for week one. And there are only two things due during week one. So we're going to look at both of those. Really one thing graded and then one thing that I'd like for everyone to do. And so even if it's beyond week one, go ahead and do those things and we'll talk about them in a moment. What I'm going to do now is share my screen and we're going to take a look at Canvas together. So when you log into My Region, it should bring you to a page that looks similar to this. Yours will look a little different, more than likely. I may have some extra options that you don't have. And I only use, well, I use three things on this page primarily. You will likely use two. The first, of course, is Canvas, which is what you'll use to access your classes online, complete your assignments, participate in discussions and all those good things. And the other is the student email. And that is my primary means of communication with students. So it's really important that you get in the habit of checking both. You may be able to forward your student email to an email account that you check more frequently, but it is Gmail. So if you have a smartphone, you should be able to get that account on your phone pretty easily. All you should need is your email address and your password. And just make it as easy as possible for yourself to check that email account because it is important. Even if you go a couple of weeks without getting anything important, you never know when you may get something from me or another professor that's timely and that needs to be dealt with pretty quickly. I would click on it, but it's not going to show anything because I don't have a student email account. Okay, so let's go into Canvas then. My voice is a little growly because it's late at night. Those of you who are parents, you know the magical time once everyone is in bed, and that is where I am. So I'm pushing through to get some of these videos done tonight while everyone is asleep and the house is quiet. Okay, and these are my classes. I have two sections this session. So I'll just go in here. I'm going to try to be really careful not to show any any information from specific students. We'll see how that goes. Okay, and so now you're into your course, and all of the classes should be built in pretty much the same way. Maybe that once you get into some higher level classes, you'll see some differences. But this class, to be transparent, this class is loaded in for me. I add a few materials here and there. I have taught this class for probably 7-ish years now, 6 or 7. I don't even remember. My daughter was very young. She's 8 now. I don't exactly remember when I started teaching this course, but it's been a while. And so I've learned a few things from teaching it that students tend to struggle with, questions they tend to have, mistakes that tend to get made. And so I try to head that off from the beginning. And that's another purpose of these videos. So hopefully you will watch them and find them useful. Okay, so the two things that you have due week one, the first thing is not graded, but it's helpful for me for students to complete it. And so you're going to go to the discussions area of Canvas on the left side of your screen. If you're on a phone, it's all going to look completely different. I don't use the phone version very often because it's just so much easier for me to use a laptop. But you're going to come in to say hello. I'm not going to click on it because if you happen to be in my other section, I don't want you to see other students' information. But you're going to click on say hello and you're going to hit reply at the top and you're going to post just a little something about yourself. Um, the more you write, the better for me because it gives me a sample of your writing, and that tends to be useful for me And we'll get into that in a future video, but it has to do with ChatGPT and the use of artificial intelligence to write. And it helps me if there's a student whose writing is flagged. And the first thing I'll always do is look to see, do I have a writing sample from the student? Does this look like what the student has written previously that I'm pretty sure is the student's own writing? So I'll get into that in a future video. But for now, it is very helpful for me if you do this. So even if it's after week 1 and you're coming back and watching this, um, please go ahead and do that. The other thing that you'll do is you'll click on syllabus, and you'll download the document and go ahead and read over it. Um, It'll have a lot of helpful things in it, but what I want you to think of is the syllabus is my contract with you and your contract with me. It tells you what I expect of you. It will probably answer some questions that you have, and it just lets us all know what's expected from the get-go so that we don't have to wonder. It lets you know how each assignment is weighted. It gives you the due dates for each assignment. Those are also very uh, helpfully listed here with each due date. So you'll see today is the 29th of October if you're looking at my screen. It is fall 2024 session B, and I'm actually late getting this first video up for these students, unfortunately. Last week, my husband had a birthday, and so it was a very hectic week between my business and my husband's birthday and responding to the initial discussion posts on that Say Hello forum. I was not able to get this done. So hopefully those students will still find it helpful. But if you're here in a later session, it'll be posted from the get-go. So you'll be able to hop right in on day 1 if you so choose. But you'll see due dates for each assignment listed in order that it's due. And you can also see the weight of the assignment groupings, but then on the syllabus, you can, I believe it'll maybe further divide that, maybe not. But for example, the discussions are 24% of the total grade. You have 4 of those over the course of the class. So 6% for each one, if the math is correct at this late hour of the night. Okay. And so once you've read over the syllabus, I recommend if you don't like reading from screen, go ahead and print it if you have the ability to do that. And, I don't mind if you have it open while you're taking your syllabus quiz, which is the one graded assignment this week. I'm going to click on this and see if it brings you in. Yep, here we go. So even on my screen. Okay. That's actually a no. On your screen, I'm not sure. It may bring you in. Let me see if I can get to a test student. Yeah, here we go. Let me go back out to the syllabus screen, and then we're going to view this as a student so you can see what it looks like as you. Okay. Okay, great. So when you click on this as a student, it will allow you to take the quiz from here. And I believe, let me click out of here. You can take this quiz multiple times. So, if it's important to you to start off week 1 with a perfect score on this quiz, take it until you get a perfect score. It's absolutely fine. Only the highest score will go in the grade book. And if you find that to not be true, let me know because something has gone awry. Okay. I'm going to go back to the discussions and just point out a couple of other things that you have available. Uh, Questions for the good of the class. If you have a question about something that you think other students might have the same question, it might be about the requirements of an assignment or a link that's not behaving itself. I actually had to go in today and remove a couple of links because the school no longer uses the software that it was linking to. Go ahead and post it there. If you have personal questions about your grade, comments that I've put on an assignment, please email those to me. Do not post those on the public forum because everyone in this class will be able to see all of the comments under say hello, questions for the good of the class, and then prayer requests, which you can also post and pray for one another there. Um, but anything that's very personal, do not post on any of these forums. Now, I'll just say quickly, and we'll touch on this again later. If you look down to the weeks 2, 3, 5, and 7 dialogue assignments, you'll see that it says group beside it. And because those are group assignments, you don't have to do anything special to click into your group. When you click on it, you will only be able to see what your fellow group members have posted, and you will only be able to respond to them. And it just sort of narrows the number of people that you're interacting with for those assignments. I do start off with those groups quite large because we tend to lose quite a few students over the first handful of weeks. So, and I used to have issues in Blackboard of those groups getting too small. So I start off on the larger side. But hopefully you won't even notice as students fall out of those groups because there will be enough that you'll have plenty of options for classmates with whom to interact. Okay, now I'm going to go back into student view because I want to just see a couple of things, show you a couple of things. Okay. Other things that are important, vitally, vitally important, is the announcements tab. I post at least one announcement a week, usually two, sometimes three, sometimes four, depending on the week and how intense the assignment load is and based on questions that students tend to have. So right now, uh, on my end, I can see every announcement. I preload them all in. I set a date for them to release. You will see all the ones that have been released. So you'll see before class began, I posted the email etiquette, the welcome, some software for you to download. That's really, really important that you get Microsoft Office for free. Some of you may have already discovered when you purchase a laptop, Microsoft Office does not always come with it. And so you can download the entire suite of programs for free. The one you're going to use most is Microsoft Word, but I cannot, well, I can. Using simpler programs, I don't, is Notepad even a thing anymore? I don't know. But there are, I think, I don't even remember, but I know students will sometimes use programs that do not give me the full range of feedback options. And so my feedback is going to be a couple of comments instead of me being able to go onto your work and highlight things and comment directly on sentences and word choices. So my feedback is going to be um, much richer for you if you will download Office and use Microsoft Word to type your assignments. Not all assignments are going to be typed and attached, but we'll get into that. There's a helpful document for Canvas, and then here, because we've started week 2, we have a couple more announcements than you may see in your class if you're watching this during week 1. Okay. Let's see here. And then we're going to go to modules. This, of course, is also going to be an incredibly important part of Canvas for you to become familiar with because this has all of your readings, all of your assignment requirements, everything you need to complete the work of the class and do your studying will be here. So what you'll find in Canvas is there are often multiple ways to get to certain places. Um, for example, I showed you one way to get to the syllabus quiz, which was from the syllabus area from that left-hand menu. But you can also access that quiz here. And you'll see there are going to be maybe some videos, some readings every week. It just kind of depends on the week in terms of what's been loaded into the course for you. If you happen to be watching this before week one, the syllabus quiz will not be available until day one of the class because you cannot submit an assignment, a graded assignment, until the class has officially begun. So that, unless I've made a mistake and have allowed it to release early, that should always be hidden until day one. So don't be alarmed if it's before the class and you don't see that. But we'll scroll down and you'll I'm not going to show you all of them, but there are 8 weeks to the course and there are 8 weekly modules. And I will often refer students with questions to the modules to find certain materials. Okay, I don't want to get too into the weeds on this video. Um, you can also click on the assignments. And again, another way to get to the assignments, to complete them, multiple ways to get to those. Um, in terms of multiple ways to get places, you can get to your discussions by using the discussions link, but you can also click on the dialogue or discussion assignment. Those two terms are used interchangeably. They mean the same thing, but you can also get to that. Okay, and I see a student name, so I'm not going to click any more on that. But if you click on that, it'll bring you into your group for the weekly dialogue. Okay. And then finally, I'm not going to click on grades because I suspect that will show some student syllabus quiz grades, but you will click on that as you complete assignments and they're graded to see how you're doing so far in the course. Um, quizzes are graded automatically. So Canvas does that for me. I don't grade the quizzes. Discussion assignments are graded by me. And uh, I will never begin grading a discussion until at least the Monday after it's due. So your original post is always going to be due on Thursday of the week it's due before midnight Eastern time. And then your response or responses, depending on how many you choose to do, will always be due Sunday night before midnight. And then I will try to come in and comment as well. And especially for weeks 2 and 3, I'll come in and let you know, hey, this looks good, but could you do more of this? Could you expand on this discussion? And I don't do that to embarrass anyone. I do it because I want to make sure you earn the most points possible on these assignments. We'll talk more about discussions in a week 2 video. Okay, I think that's really the majority of what I want to show you now. So I'm going to say good night for this video. If you have questions, look at the syllabus. I'm going to go there one more time while I'm talking about it. And I'll go ahead and download that. Get out of here. Okay. Oh, here we go. Sometimes the document links are a little wonky. You may do better to click download and pull it up as a PDF instead of using the Canvas document viewer. It just depends. Don't get frustrated. Try multiple ways to do things because there are little glitches from time to time. But if you come look at the syllabus, you will find at the top my email address. And I post that multiple times in the course, but when in doubt, if you need to get in touch with me, go to your student email or a personal email. It's fine. I'll respond to whichever you email me from, but that's my email address. And that is the best way to get in touch with me. Um, I will say, I know sometimes students want to speak on the telephone, and I'm open to that. But I have found in my experience teaching many years of teaching, it's always good to have a written record of communication. So I do prefer to communicate through email, and I check it every single day. I don't always respond on weekends because, I when you work from home, it gets more difficult to have boundaries between work life and personal life. And so one of my boundaries is that on weekends, I do not commit to checking email or responding to email, although I do often check it don't always respond until Monday. Um, it- so, if you email me on a Saturday or Sunday, just know it's fine. Absolutely. But I may not get back to you until Monday, in that circumstance. Um, okay. And then you can look through this. I always have questions about books. Is there a book? No, there is no book. Everything will be loaded for you in Canvas in the weekly modules. So all your week one readings are going to be right there in that week one module. Here's where I talked about it. It gives you the layout of how assignments are weighted, and it does tell you if there are multiple of an assignment. So there are 4 dialogue posts, 4 lesson quizzes. Every other assignment is a one-off. So, and then uh, it'll tell you about late work. There will be an announcement about that during week 2. But in a nutshell, the only thing you cannot turn in late is a dialogue or discussion post. Remember, those two terms are interchangeable, that is posted more than 7 days beyond the due date. So I can accept it for a week. Beyond that, you can't earn any credit for it. But it's 6 points of your total grade. It's not life ruining if you miss a dialogue assignment or two. Um, those written assignments are weighted more heavily. So, and then as you scroll down, you'll find the schedule, and that'll tell you the graded assignments for that week. I know students have already had questions about how many assignments are graded each week. So if you come look at the schedule, it'll tell you what day of that week it's due. And then if you look in the little light green area at the top of each week, it'll tell you the dates that that week is occurring. But the weeks always go Monday to Sunday, with one exception, and we'll get there. So it'll tell you the materials that you have been asked to view or read, or whichever the case may be. It'll tell you the assignment that's due and the day of that week that it's due, and the weight of the assignment again. So I will scroll down to the end, because the one exception to the Monday to Sunday rule is week 8. The class always ends on a Saturday, not a Sunday. And I think that's just because of the grading. There's a quick turnaround on reporting grades. And so they give professors an extra day to get that work in and graded before we have to have all the final grades posted on Wednesday of the next week. Okay. And then I'll let you read over the rest of this on your own time and let me know if you have any questions. But that's the syllabus. And again, my email address is right here at the top. Okay, so with that, I am going to say good night, and I will see you on Canvas and in the next video. And hope you're having a good first week if you're watching this during week 1 or before.